I think we should start this. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fernando Sicchos Jimenez. I'm the Secretary General of the European Builders Confederation, the European organization representing construction crafts and SMEs. I'm very happy to be part of this very first ever Built4People Stakeholder Forum, and to have actually the opportunity to moderate one of the thematic sessions. As you already know, this one is dedicated to inclusivity. What is inclusivity? I think that's something that we need to figure out, because we can have several facets in that concept. And I'm very happy today to count on two great speakers to share a few thoughts on their perspective on inclusivity. Today with us, the Philippe van Nieuwenhuizen, the president of the European Builders Confederation, as well as the president of the Dutch organization MKB Infra, who will share a few thoughts and considerations on the take of construction SMEs on inclusivity, what inclusivity means to them. Today with us as well, Ms. Silvia Uriarte, a senior researcher in the Spanish research center Tecnalia, who is going to share with us a more pragmatic take on what inclusivity could mean at local level in Europe in projects. So, without further ado, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Philippe van Nieuwenhuizen for his presentation and fire starter and motivational presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. As you can see, my name is Philippe van Nieuwenhuizen, and I have the pleasure of being president of a very important European federation, the European Builders Confederation, that represents national organizations of SMEs and craftsmen all over Europe. Unfortunately, we are condemned to this digital platform that even after 2 years of digital experience is an ordeal for me. So excuse me beforehand if things do not go smoothly. And moreover, I hate it that I can't see you live. I was asked to share with you my views about inclusivity and innovation in a future people-centered construction sector with a special focus on SMEs. I will do so, but first I want to tell you some more about EBC and demonstrate the importance of SMEs by showing some key figures. Our position in Brussels, EBC exclusively represents crafts and micro, small and medium-sized companies of the construction sector. EBC is a member of SME United and SBS, the European organizations regrouping the interest of SMEs in policy and standardization. Then a few figures. Over 3 million companies active in the construction sector, 2.8 million of them are micro, this means 10 employees and less, and 180,000 of them are small and medium, so it may not come as a surprise if I say that our SMEs and craftsmen are vital, even essential, for the construction sector. In fact, for every development that the sector will and should go through, being at the green transition, digitalization, innovation, or inclusivity. Speaking of which, the colored rainbow-colored lining on the first introductory sheet implied that by inclusivity we mean the diversity in background, origin, or sexual preference, but in my contribution I will mainly focus on the need of diversity in size of the companies working in the sector. On the other diversity, I will limit myself by stating that SMEs employ everyone who has skills and talent and the willingness to work, and they will invest in these people regardless of their origin or preferences. So what does inclusivity in the construction sector mean? For EBC, it means including SMEs in all relevant political, technical, and educational fora in order to boost a people-centric construction ecosystem. People-based construction, or building for people, is in the DNA of SMEs. Our companies focus entirely on the needs and wishes of their clients. They want their customers to be satisfied with the products they make, and it's people before profit. Also in human resources, by the way. Continuity is the main driver, and continuity is served if the customers and the employees stay satisfied. For that, we need a clear and stable regulatory framework to enable innovation development and adoption by construction SMEs and crafts. We stimulate better channeling of EU funding towards SMEs and include more population groups that are currently underrepresented in construction. To elaborate on what we need to boost participation of women and attract new talent, be it the youngers or people from abroad seeking employment, but let us not forget the continuity of the companies by facilitating the succession through new generations of the family, instead of taxing this succession to an extent that the viability of the company is in danger, as is proposed at this very moment in the Netherlands. What does EBC do to reach these objectives? Here is a short overview of the participations in which we work on them. On this sheet, you will see that we are initiator of the Construction 2050 Alliance, in which we are a member of a steering group and in which over 50 European organizations participate, which is unprecedented. We are board member of today's organizer Built4People, and you can see that we're also in the EU Council for Construction Research, Development and Innovation, as well as in the circularity group ESP, excuse me. Furthermore, in the stakeholder expert group on public procurement, we try to keep everything workable for SMEs in public procurement. Before I continue on the projects we work on, just a few words on the current context of the construction ecosystem that is essential to reach the main goal of the EU, a climate-neutral Europe by 2050. Why is it essential? EU institutions consider the construction ecosystem as a key driver for the green and digital transition, as we can see from the Fit for 55 package, which is working on an energy efficiency directive, renewable energy directive, and the emissions trade system. Furthermore, work is being done on the energy performance of buildings directive, in which we are very attentive to make sure that it remains workable for the SMEs, which goes the same for the construction products regulation, by the way. And what is very, very important is the pact of skills, because skills is the basis of the construction sector. We speak about the green and digital transition. It really is a transition, and that cannot be realized with a big bang. Maybe large structures have the capacity and the staff to adapt themselves very quickly, but let me remind you that the construction sector is also a value chain in which SMEs participate. And since the chain is only as strong as the weakest link, the traditional instruments should be apt for all companies, big and small. Therefore, EBC participates in the following ongoing projects. This is BIM for Renovation, towards SME-friendly BIM tools for renovation, with free training on easy-to-use digital tools for EBC members. This is, by the way, a project under Horizon 2020, as is the BIM Speed and the DigiPlace project. Transition and innovation can only be made possible by investing. Hence, once more, the size of most SMEs and their business model does not permit short revolutionary change, but evolution can be stimulated and accelerated by the exchange of knowledge, for which we provide a help desk, and funding, in which we guide our member organizations in EU funding opportunities. And we make a liaison with initiatives targeting construction SMEs, such as Meta Building, in which construction SMEs have access to cascade funding schemes and collaborative innovation projects focusing on integrating SMEs. Finally, we should not forget that even with little means, there is great inventiveness that enhances autonomous development and innovation. One of our Dutch SMEs has built a unique backpack scanner that creates digital images, applying three-dimensional GPS and 360-degree technology by simply walking around the building. The result is an extremely accurate digital insight in which the as-built of the future project can be stimulated. And I was flabbergasted learning that they opted to cooperate with educational institutions to develop a training program in order to ensure that skilled young people will be able to work with the results of the scans before even commercializing the scanner. Getting back to the other inclusivity, EBC participates in the construction blueprint of skills, where the needs of the sector is monitored in order to adapt training and schooling to the needs of the upcoming developments in construction, some of which are energy efficiency, circular economy, and digitalization, all of which are focused on the future of society, on next generations, on the people of tomorrow, being it users or creators. And let us not forget the people of today, as energy shortage and prices needs for acceleration of insulating private and social housing, or as more extremely hot and dry periods create the need to protect the weak and seniors within their habitats. And torrential rains and floodings oblige us to rethink spatial planning and civil engineering of the built environment. And I could go on like that, for instance, about the increasing group of aging citizens with mental problems and their specific needs, but that will be in the entrusted hands of Silvia Uriarte that will follow right away. I now come to my closing remarks and EBC messages and will read them out loud to you. Construction SMEs are vital to achieve the green and digital ambitions of the European Union. Innovation must be accessible to SMEs, both technically and financially, to bring real added value to the sector. Funding initiatives to bridge the gap between innovation and SMEs is needed for the construction ecosystem. Digitalization and greening of the construction sector must not leave any player behind, especially not SMEs. And innovation is a key to attract new talent in the construction ecosystem. As I said in the beginning of my contribution, SMEs are the central actors for an inclusive and people-centric construction ecosystem and built environment. I would like to thank you for your attention and participation. And if there are any questions, I would like to see them back in the chat, and Fernando will then pass them on to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Philippe. Thank you for your presentation, which is really setting the scene, sharing the full context of what the construction ecosystem is actually living, what is happening in there, and what influences the activity, inclusivity in our sector. Now, I would like to give the floor to Silvia, who will share with us, as I was saying, a more pragmatic considerations on what they're doing at the local level. The floor is yours, Silvia.
Thank you very much, Fernando, and thank you very much, Philippe, for that inspiring session from another point of view that I think that is also key and part of the whole picture. Well, my name is Silvia Urra. I am a senior researcher in Tecnalia, that is a research center located in the north of Spain, in Bilbao, and we are part of the ECTP. Some of my colleagues are in another sessions also. My background, I am an architect, but I have been for more than 10 years working in issues related to how to adapt our cities and our built environment to the needs of a population that is living longer than never before. So as I always say, this is a kind of selfish initiative because I want to be able to have the life I have now when I get older. So please go to the next one. So this is just some words that we use with the translation and the meaning they have in the Cambridge Dictionary. So when we say that something is exclusionary, is that it's causing someone or something not to be allowed to take part in an activity or to enter a place. This is a general situation for a lot of people in our cities and in our buildings, in the built environment, because many places are not accessible or are not built so that anyone can enter or can use them. When we say that something is exclusive, we say that it's limited to one person or group of people, so it's not for everyone. When we talk about inclusive cities, inclusive buildings, we say that means that includes or has the virtue and capacity to include. It's when we work with or when we try to make a building accessible and it is not. And that is what we are trying to do now, but our focus should be to be universal, so that it involves everyone. Anyone should be able to use and to enjoy the cities and the built environment that we have. So go to the next one, please. What I'm going to do is to explain very briefly 3 projects we have been. The first one is already finished. The second one we are just involved on it, and the third one is under negotiation, and hopefully will start at the end of the year. And each of them has inclusivity included, but from different points of view. And also, I think that it will make us think on how things are evolving and how we are evolving in the concept of inclusivity. So please, the next one. Well, Ermua project is a project that was started in the city of Ermua because they already have identified that in another project that they were researching about the people that had experienced a stroke. Their relatives tried to adapt their homes so that when they came back from the hospital, the homes were adapted to their new needs. And most of these adaptations were not well done. So these homes were not really homes, and people was not able to have a good life in their homes. So go to the next one, please. This was due to different things. On the one side, this city has a big amount of older people, and the building stock is quite obsolete. So there are a lot of homes that have accessibility and habitability issues. But the reason was, on the one side, that sometimes the user don't really know what do they have to do to adapt the homes. And on the other side, the construction sector of the city was did not have the needed skills to go across these kind of adaptations. So go to the next one, please. We did make a research about the kind of buildings the people was living in. And what we did was to develop a manual of interventions to improve housing. And it was focused into different users. On the one side was the construction sector, the construction workers, and on the other one side were the dwelling users. The intention was that both groups could have a tool that they could consult if they wanted to go for an adaptation. Sometimes many things are not implemented because people doesn't even know that they exist. So this was a tool to try to overcome this barrier. So the next one, please. So this is the kind of how the manual looked. The next one, please. And what we did after this was to give a training course to the construction workers of the municipality. We had 30% of women and 70% of women. As Philip has said, this it's an issue yet in the construction sector. And we have different profiles of people that was involved in the construction ecosystem of that city. We had plumbers, builders, painters, architects, designers. They even had the option to really work in a real case and to implement different solutions that were included in the manual. Go to the next one, please. The result of this project was quite good because the municipality did launch a grant so that people could ask for some funding to go on these adaptations, but yes, for people asked for the money. It was an economic crisis context, and some other things didn't, let's say, accompany the process. But what was good was that a group of people that attended that course, they create their own company, and they are now offering integral services to people that need to adapt their homes with the specific needs. So that was a good point. The next one, please. The second project is called Urbanate. It's an ongoing project from the Horizon 2020 program. The next one, please. The intention of Urbanate is to investigate how digital technology can address the needs of older people in the urban environment. We have 3 pilot cities or regions: Santander in Spain, Helsinki in Finland, and the region of Flanders in Belgium. Go to the next one, please. And what we have done is to try to identify first which ones are the challenges that older people is facing when they are working and when they are living in their cities. To the next one, please. So the starting point has been to start with a co-creation sessions where we ask them what are their needs, what are really the problems they are finding to work and to use their city. Another session was with the civil servants because we think that urban planners are the ones that are designing the cities. And then we had a third session with both civil servants and older citizens in order to identify by pairs which ones were the journeys they used to go and which ones were the problems they were finding and which ones could be the solutions. The next one, please. And this is the last project that I wanted to talk to you about. This is a project that is under negotiation yet, and is digitally enabled social district renovation processes for age-friendly environments, driving social innovation and local economic development. It's a project that has two drivers: social innovation and local economic development. Although the guiding thread is new technologies and digitalization, and it also wants to investigate how the new creative industries can be a possibility to foster economic development and to foster also social cohesion. So this project from the beginning has a co-creation process where people is involved in this neighborhood. They will establish which ones are the troubles they have, which ones are the problems they find to have a real good quality life. They will work on the project selections. We will all together identify which ones are the skills that are needed to develop those projects at the local level with the construction ecosystem and the digital ecosystem that exists there. If some of that skills are missing, we will also build a capacity building system so that the skills can be improved in the region. And then finally, the projects will be implemented. So next one, please. We have seen that we have been evolving from the first steps, not just in our case, in general, when we did analyze what people was needing, what was the state of the building stock, what were the profiles of people that were living in those buildings, what are the needs they were supposed to have. The second part is to ask them directly, what do you need? What are the needs you have? What are the challenges you are finding to really use your city? And the last one is, what do you need? And let's look for the solution together. And this together means not just involving, let's say, the end user, that maybe in this case is the older person or whatever, but also include all the ecosystem. And that means also including the construction sector, including academy, including all the social movements that may be there, including the municipalities and so on. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Silvia. I see here, I think I start having a better understanding of how we should tackle inclusivity in this session. It's really about involving users and workers in the built environment, make it people-centric. Thank you very much. And then I don't see any questions in the chat so far, but I have a question of my own that I would like to mention for both speakers. So we were talking here about inclusivity, and we know that in the Built4People partnership, one of the key concept is to reaching a more people-centric, human-centric built environment. But I would like to know what the concept of people-centric, human-centric evokes to you when it regards the construction ecosystem in a broader way than the specific examples that you share with us. With whom should I start? Silvia, Philip, one of you would like to take this question first. What does the concept of people-centric construction ecosystem evoke to you?
Normally it's ladies first, but as Silvia doesn't turn her mic on, I will start. In fact, as I already mentioned in my contribution, construction SMEs have never done anything else than working people-centric. This concept should be practiced all over the sector, so also in project development. To give you an example, Corona changed our habits, and the concept of only office-based work has pivoted to a balance between working from home and in the office. This means that our homes need to be adapted and offer the comfort to work quietly at home, even when the kids are at home. In project development in the Netherlands, we don't see any movement in that direction yet. On the contrary, spaces are reduced more and more in order to fit the buildings into the already overcrowded cities instead, and in the meantime, maintaining profit levels. This is profit before people and very unsustainable. So let's indeed turn that around and put planet before people and profit. That's what I see as people-centric construction. And as EBC, as you know very well, Fernando, as our Secretary General, we are also going to work in some very people-centric projects which I forgot to mention in my presentation just now. So if our support can put on sheet number 10, please, then I will elaborate a little more on that. There are 3 new projects in which we are going to participate. The first one starts in June 2022, which is Human Tech, Human-Centered Technologies for a Safer and Greener European Construction Industry. Then there is, in the same month, so this month, starting Beyond Us, a breakthrough European technologies yielding construction sovereignty, diversity, and efficiency of resources. And in September, we're going to participate in Condorino, creating a multiplying integrated home renovation service for private condominiums. So how much more do you want it people-centered? But what we would like to see more is that the one-stop shops for energy renovation get a boost, because they are key pragmatic in people-centric building and to make the renovation wave a reality.
Thank you, Philippe. Indeed, these projects are how at the European level we try to be people-centric, at least as EBC, trying to really have our construction SMEs or local small construction companies being contacted and shaping the tools, the methods, the technologies, any innovation actually, so that it brings a real added value on the ground, because the local aspect seems very important to us and for the future of the ecosystem. Then maybe Sylvia, for you, same question. What does the concept of people-centric construction ecosystem now evoke to you?
Well, I don't know what to say now after Philippe's replay, but well, I guess I understand that as the word says, is to put people in the center of the issue, in the center of the matter. And when we talk about people, we are not just thinking on the people that is demanding the services from the construction ecosystem, but also the people that is part of the construction ecosystem. So we really think that in the kind of initiatives as regeneration of neighborhoods or renovation of neighborhoods, is key also to involve all the people that is living in the neighborhoods and that has capacities to offer the services that are required in that neighborhood. It's a kind of sustainability, local sustainability also. Not to have to look for, I mean, if you have the problem in a place and you may find the solution in the same place, it's a good opportunity to make that people learn new things, acquire new skills, and be able to offer an added value to what they have been offering till that point. Because people is all the people, not just the, let's say, the older people or the people that is, contracting that companies. It's also the people that is part of that companies. And that is the way I see. In fact, I'm totally agree with what Philippe has said about that the SMEs are always people-centric, because they have direct relation with people. They are part of the town, or they are part of the region. They are the neighbors of those people that are contracting them. So it cannot be more people-centric than that. So that's I agree totally.
Thank you. Happy to hear that you agree, because indeed one of the reasons why I personally got involved in this event and EBC got involved in the Built4People partnership is indeed to bridge the gap between, let's take the example here of Tecnalia as a research center developing technologies, methods, innovation, and our SMEs at local level. So if you agree on such an important argument, it's a real added value to me. But going back to you, Sylvia, here, because in your presentation, you mentioned several European projects. Philippe mentioned European projects that we try to conduct as a European organization. And Built4People is indeed a partnership, a European partnership that is mostly focused on how the European Union can help and fund in let's say, initiatives at local level. I was wondering, how could these EU funding programs evolve in a way to even be of further help, of an increased help for the construction ecosystem to become more inclusive? Can we improve the way European funding programs are run or are, let's say, created so that it brings even more added value at the very local level?
Well, when that is something that we have been trying to push for since a long time ago, not just from Tecnalia, but also from the ECTP and the Aging and Design Committee. Well, before was Aging and Design, now it's Built for Life Committee. And is that sometimes European Commission, when they are launching some calls, for example, related with older people, they are very much focused on health issues, medical issues. But we all know the impact that the building environment has in our lives and in our quality of life. We all know that sometimes you don't need to be ill or to need health help or services to have a good life. And we know that the importance that having a good conditions home, to be able to be part of the society you are living in, to be able to keep the connections with your friends, how important it is for the health, mental health, and for the well-being of people. So sometimes we miss that link, that this is so transversal and it has to be approached in a transversal way. So if you start launching the calls to the specific, like older people health, you are missing a lot of possibilities that really have a big influence. I mean, of course, it's super important energy efficiency also for the well-being and the quality of life. But there are other things like accessibility and a lot of other things that are very important also for the quality of life. So I think that's something missing, just to have like a more holistic approach of what is well-being really, not just health. It has a lot of different dimensions.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Very clear to me. And indeed, if personally didn't know that the CTP was pushing those lines, but I do agree that we could make it more relevant, better matching what is requested at national level. So that's fine, because in the end, that's the way we can include the people that are that do have real need. Then I will switch to you, Philippe, for a question more about SMEs. So we often hear that SMEs in the construction sector, in the built environment, are even more so traditional ones, are anchored in the habits and traditions. And I was wondering how you, as EBC president, but also especially, I mean, you became EBC president very recently, but in your experiences in the construction sector in the Netherlands and at the European level, how can you see ways to help convince as construction SMEs to give innovations a chance, so that there is a better uptake and that there are, let's say, there is an improvement in how we include them in the innovation development?
First of all, let me say that I do not agree entirely with your statement. It's certainly so that the vast majority of craftsmen and small enterprises are not on a daily basis creating new innovations like exoskeletons or automatic paving machines. But we should not forget that construction is a creative process, often with tailor-made solutions. So in a way, our companies are constantly being inventive and mastering challenges and the unforeseen. And as I tried to demonstrate with the example of the 3D scanner, there are in fact SMEs that while mastering their challenges, they create new instruments, processes, and products. I think it's not the unwillingness of the SMEs that stand in the way of adopting those. In my opinion, the real problem is that we first have to wait for acceptation, certification, and standardization before innovations can be applied. And even then, they have to be adopted by architects, engineers, and customers. It's unfortunately so that our companies can freely apply, that they cannot freely apply every new development. Breakthroughs can only be accelerated if the entire supply chain cooperates. And I think that the concept of one-stop shops, for instance, can contribute at least in the energy renovation and the green transition. But I just wanted also to underline what Sylvia said about the holistic approach. I recently gave a presentation about the true value of infrastructure, and then I presented, for instance, a sewage system not as a system to dispose of waste, but as a system as a value for health. Because without sewage systems, we wouldn't have the health level that we have in Europe. The same goes for water piping. Clean water is essential not to have illnesses amongst the population. The cables that we use for communication, they help in avoiding social isolation. So we should look at the built environment for the real values they have. And therefore, I wanted to underline what Sylvia said, that we should take the holistic approach and see also the value of the built environment for the mental and physical health of the people. And that is something we can raise awareness about as a construction sector, but it's not in our hands. It's the policymakers that should be aware of that. And I think that studies like Sylvia mentioned should be put to a higher level and brought to the attention of the policymakers to contribute to this holistic approach. And once the approach is formulated, then you can see where the financing is necessary.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. I now see that there are actually questions in the Q&A. So the first one is actually a series of 3 questions for you, Sylvia. So I will read them all, and then maybe I will break them and split so that you have easier to respond. So how can we build these ecosystems, or what are key enablers to accelerate the deployment of innovations and get the trainings in place for the entire value chain? How did you build this in Finland, Flanders, and in the Spanish region, for instance? And how did you manage to involve all actors in the value chain in these regions for your pilots?
Well, I understand that the first one perhaps is more general, no, for the 3 of us, and then I will replay first the second one and the third one, because I understand that is directly referring to Urbanage project. Well, the first and more clear reply is that it's a European Horizon 2020 project, so it has funding, and that's key also to involve people. That's something we all know. It's a project that is exploring the use of disruptive technologies in order to improve urban planning for age-friendly cities. That is the whole, let's say, approach of the project. And it has a lot of, let's say, digital and technological partners, but many of them are already from the administration. I mean, we have the City of Santander, the City Council of Santander, we have Forum Virium Helsinki, and we have the region of Flanders. So I think that these public entities or semi-public entities, it's good that they are there, but we don't have so many private companies involved, let's say. Probably it's not specifically around the construction, this project, because we are not going to build or to implement construction works anywhere. It's going to be more about creating tools for inclusion. So we are going to create digital tools so that urban planners can have more information to make decisions in an informed way. So it's not so difficult as in other kind of projects where you have huge pilots with a lot of construction works and, you know, implementations, refurbishing, and so on. So I think with that I have replied to both questions. What we have done that is good is to include older people in all the process. and is to take advantage of existing groups and groups of people that were quite active and that were involved in lots of things, and ask them if they wanted to participate, to tell us what they needed when they were exploring their own city, when they were using their city, and what they were missing. And I think that that was good, because many of the things that they told us were already known by us and by anyone, but it's not the same to have the idea than to listen to them directly tell that to you. So I think that is good, because as the other part of the partners are mainly public administration, we hope that, as Philippe has said, policymakers have a clear idea of what is needed and they take the next steps. And regarding the first one, how can we build this ecosystem, and what are key enablers to accelerate the deployment of innovation and get the training in place for the entire value chain? I think that it's very important to have someone that can be an entity. It can be someone like you, you, Fernando and Philippe, or other kind of entities that really push for this kind of ecosystems, and really are the tractors, or the ones that are really making things move forward. And people really, I think that many people that is part of these ecosystems are willing to be part of something bigger and really have identified the need, but they need someone to take the lead on this. That is my opinion, at least.
Thank you very much for that. Indeed, Philippe, I think you, in your intervention, you already replied to a few elements to the question, but in case you want to add something to respond to the question, how can we build this ecosystem, and what are key enablers to accelerate the deployment of innovation, get the training in place for the entire value chain? I think Sylvia made a very good point. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Oh, well, as you said, I think in my presentation and answers, I already gave my opinion on that. It should start with a holistic view of things, and then only the value chain can be activated, because you cannot create it from bottom up. You need everyone to cooperate. As I said, we can invent things, be innovative, and help raise awareness. But there it stops, because we're only executing what the client asks us. And there is only so much margin to do something extra, but not to solve all the problems of the world, in fact. So I think we should cooperate more with the institutions and make them aware that they have a key role in accelerating these developments.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. I have a second question in the Q&A, but I'm not sure I fully grasp the concept of it. It's about the role of buildings in prevention. Do you, Sylvia, have any response to this?
Yeah. Hi, Stefan, because Stefan is part of our committee in the ECDP, and we have talked a lot about this. It's something that is being talked about a lot at the level of city level, healthy cities. Healthy cities means cities that are healthy and prevent you from having diseases or other health issues. The same for buildings. We have been listening a lot about the ill buildings and how not being inadequate buildings can have an effect in our health. And at the same time, good design buildings, good design environments can have an effect in preventing us from having health issues. So I think that Stefan was referring to that. And absolutely, I think that good design and good materials and taking into account a lot of things from not what means construction, from the, as Philippe has said, from the infrastructure, from the installations, from everything can be preventive and can prevent us from having some health issues.
Great, thank you for your help here. I fully understand now, and indeed, Philippe already touched upon the topic as well. Okay, I think I have.
Can I add one
Yes,
more thing to that?
definitely.
In view of the climate adaptation, for instance, buildings can also, if placed well, create shadow and thus preventing heat stress. So that's why I mentioned urban planning. And if you do your urban planning well, you can also use the built environment to solve the problem of huge rains, etc. But what I forgot to mention is that in cars, for instance, you have over 100 sensors that indicate and register different parts of the functioning of the vehicle. In houses, we only have one sensor in the thermostat, and I think technical development is going so far that we could and should use all these techniques in our building sector in order to, for instance, monitor the well-being of people, the well-being and the state of the building, that it isn't going to be ill, as Sylvia mentioned, etc. So that is a development that is still in little shoes, but we should focus on in order to help the digital revolution of housing also.
Great.
Yes,
Indeed. Yeah, please go ahead, Silvia.
No, I was going to reply to Philippe that as many things, that sensors and the monitoring of the consumptions is something that is already done, but focus on energy efficiency. That is super important also. But as you have said, I mean, if we could monitor all and now I think that after the COVID pandemic, more things are being done. And in some places, there is a control about the CO2 proportion and things like that. But I think that we could, of course, implement a lot of things that have been developed for energy efficiency or other sectors like the cars or whatever to monitor and to evaluate the quality of life of people inside the built environment. So I think that there is quite a lot of people that is starting to move in this sense. But there is a lot of things to do yet. So yes, totally agree.
Great. Thank you very much for that conversation. I think I'll keep two final questions, and one that is coming to my mind now because we in the discussion we didn't cover the specific topic, but I'm pretty sure you will have a few thoughts to share with the audience and myself. We were mentioning you were mentioning in both your presentations that the fact that we still lack, let's say, a more balanced representation of women in the construction sector as a whole. Or could we develop, let's say, an approach that pushes for more representation of underrepresented groups in the construction workforce as a bigger portion among the construction professionals? And this question would be for the two of you. I don't know if one of you would like to answer first.
Okay, I will. Well, regarding women, as a woman and architect, I have to say that yes, it is a fact. Now that I am working in a research center, is not that case because there are a lot of engineers and architects. I would say that we are perhaps more women than men in our team. But in what is considered as construction, directly in the construction works, still there is a bigger amount of men. I don't know if that can be changed. I suppose that there are a lot of initiatives for little girls also to push them to tell them the kind of opportunities they may have and just to avoid them for discarding these works that are related with construction since they are little. But I don't know if it's something we are going to achieve. Regarding other groups that are not women, for example, I think that is a pity that older people that get retired that really have a huge knowledge of what has to be done. And I am talking not just about the the people that is owning an SMEs. I mean, the people that is working in the construction work, and they have really the knowledge about how things are done. And I think that is a pity that they are not taken less to train younger people, because there are some things that are going to be missing, like when we say that things are not done like they were done before, it's not always true, but sometimes it is. And I think that we should try to find something so that we can reuse all that knowledge of older people for the younger generations, let's say.
Thank you, Sylvia. Just a few general considerations that we hear here and there about women participation is that indeed they still represent around 10% of the world construction workforce, and that maybe 2% are actually blue collars. White collars, sorry, blue collars and not white collars. Philip, something to share about how we could increase the participation of women and of other underrepresented groups?
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to say something that might be a bit, a teaser. I think the mindset of people who we are facing now. So women, people with other preferences from other origins, etc. They have a mindset that they're not well accepted in construction. When I look at the examples I know of blue-collar people working in blue-collar work, women doing work in the construction sector, I think they have passed that threshold, and they see that it's completely normal, that they are accepted, etc. There is not a woman unfriendly atmosphere in the construction sites. I think it's mainly a mindset, and I do agree that most women, you will find them in the white-collared professions of the construction sector, but it should be them also that tell their friends, female friends, that this is not a female unfriendly sector, which is on the other hand, I think the sector should also create more opportunity to work part-time. If that is done, which is a development in the Netherlands in general, not in the construction sector yet, but if you see that the men can work 3 or 4 days and the women can work 3 or 4 days, then you see that the participation of women is increasing. And for this, the construction sector is too traditional. I think if we offer these kind of opportunities and adapt our conventions to that also, women would more easily choose for a profession in construction, in the blue-collar construction, because now they think they are needed 5 days a week, and the working times, at least in Dutch construction, is they start at 7 and they finish around 4, and then there's the travel. So starting up the day, if you have children, is very, very difficult. And this makes it more easy if both partners are working more or less part-time, so that you can manage at least your family troubles.
Basically, changing the way we schedule time and operations. I understand the point. At the same time, we are also on the, as you all know, in a green and digital transition for the construction sector, which is claimed by the European institutions a lot, and which is a reality, digitalization, the greening of the ecosystem that will also shape the trades in a way that there might be more possibilities for people that are not attracted by the construction to enter our ecosystem. So thank you very much for that. A very final question, a very basic one, to each one of you. I would like to ask you, what is your main takeaway of this discussion between, let's say, a representative of construction SMEs and one representative of the innovation world? Sylvia?
Well, I have to say that as I have been working in construction works also, I am quite close personally to what Philip has been telling. And as in that project I have tell as the first one, we did have a very close relation with the construction sector and with little companies. I mean, I fully agree what he has been saying. Of course, he has said some things that that I know, but I was not aware, like the limitations sometimes for innovation for the SMEs, because it doesn't depend on them to adopt or to try new technologies or new things. I mean, if no one wants to implement those solutions, then it doesn't mind that you as company are open to that. And also, I have the feeling that we are closer than we thought probably at the beginning when we came to this session, because we are always talking about people. I mean, people working here or living there, but it's people at the end. So no, I'm happy to have been sharing this slot with you both. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvia. Thanks a lot. And actually, indeed, I'm very happy that with Tegnalia, we have become closer over the last years in collaborating in projects, having discussions about indeed to bridge the gap between you and us. So that's, I would like to, indeed, as EBC, to keep this conversation going. And I think that the Built4People partnership is a great context to keep that conversation flowing. Philippe, your main takeaway?
Well, first of all, I was very impressed by the presentation of Silvia, but my main takeaway is that I have a concern about this holistic approach that she mentioned and I agreed upon. How can we have this holistic approach in order to get the sector moving on? So that all new technologies and innovations, etc., get their place because the customers are aware of the importance of the values of the different parts of the built environment. And I think we should work on the awareness of that more than ever.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your contributions to the both of you. We're running out of time. 1 minute, 2 minutes to go. The presentations will be available, to my understanding, as well as the recording of the session. I think it was a very interesting exchange, as I was saying, between two different type of actors in the built environment, in the European built environment ecosystem. And I'm very happy that we managed to put the two of you together for a frank and transparent exchange. As the moderator, I would like to thank the audience. I know there were many sessions running at the same time, so I guess people were jumping from one to the other. I think that inclusivity is a topic that needs indeed to be better channeled so that maybe we can discuss more specific points and arguments on how to improve, let's say, women's participation, underrepresented groups participation, let's say to improve the conversation between different generations, to keep the conversation going between technology providers, technology developers, and construction SMEs. And I thank, again, the Built4People partnership for the opportunity to have this exchange. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best for the rest of the event.